Hi, welcome to the third episode of the Homestager Marketing Show. Today we're going to talk about the 8 things that your website needs for great SEO. First, my name is Mike. I am the Stager Sidekick. You can visit my website at stagersidekick.com. Now let's get into it. So first let's talk about what is SEO. SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization, and what that really means is it's the way that your website gets found on Google. So a website with good SEO will get found on Google when somebody searches for a home stager in your area. A website with bad SEO, well, won't get found when someone searches for a home stager in your area. So as you could probably imagine, it's important for your website to have good SEO if you want someone to find your website on Google. So inherently, a website is not going to have a good SEO. Just having a website doesn't mean that you're going to get found on Google or any other search engine. But there's 8 simple things that you can do to make sure that your website has good SEO. Now you can do any combination of these things. If you want to have great SEO, you will do all 8, but you can just doing a few of these will definitely give your website much better SEO than 99% of the other home stagers. So the first thing is, number one thing for helping your website have good SEO is to build your website on WordPress. So WordPress inherently has, in the back end, gives your website better SEO than website builders like Wix or Weebly or Squarespace or GoCentral from GoDaddy. It's just the structure behind the website that helps give the website better SEO. Now, just having a website on WordPress doesn't mean that your website's going to have great SEO, but it is a contributing factor. If you have a website that's on Wix or Weebly or some other DIY platform, you can give your website great SEO by following the next 7 steps, but you're just giving yourself an advantage when you build it on WordPress. The next thing, probably the most important thing for having good SEO on your website, is content. Now, content is more than just the About Me page and your services page. Yeah, that's important content to have, but with content we're talking about things like a blog, which I'm sure every home stager has heard that they probably need for their website, but it's just there's 1,000 excuses of why not to start a blog. But a blog is important, and I totally understand at the time it takes and all the different things that go into it. So I'm not a good writer, I don't have time, blah 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 blah. Another important thing for content is videos and pictures. So all these things contribute to your content for your website, and these will greatly help your SEO of your website. The most important thing for your website is the content that's on your website. So number 3 is the content structure. What do we mean by content structure? So if you write a blog, it needs to be structured well. Each blog post needs to be structured well so that it breaks up into different sections. So for example, when I turn this into a blog post and say the 8 things that will help a website, a home stager's website SEO, I'm going to break it out with number 1, number 2, number 3, and explain under each one. I'm going to use headings, H1 tags, H2 tags. Just know that if it's easy to read for the visitor, then it's easy to read for Google, and Google wants things that are easy to read for the visitor. They want to provide a better experience. So enough about content structure. Number 4 is backlinks. So what makes Google think that your website a good website is if you have if some other important website links to you. For example, if you're a member of RISA and you write an article for RISA, and the RISA website you links to your website from that article. So if you write a great article about, something home staging, and at the end of the article it says this article was written by so-and-so at www. whatever with a link to that, that's an important backlink for you to have, because RISA is a recognized and valuable website, so Google recognizes that having a link from that is important. Likewise, if you could get a link from New York Times to your website or anything like that, I mean, that would be phenomenal, but somewhat unrealistic. But if you have local stores, local restaurants, you write articles about them, about their decorations and things, and you can ask them to link to your website, that would be a significant help to your website. Number 5 is your image alt tags. So every home stager's website should have great pictures of their work on their website. Ideally, the pictures are broken up into different portfolios, different case studies, so that the visitor can really learn about the type of things that, type of work that you do. But regardless, each one of your image needs to have what's called a title and an alt tag, also known as alt text. So the title is pretty simple, because the title just explains what the picture is about. So it could be a before picture of a living room in any town, USA. It's a great title. Now the alt tag or alt text is really the description that Google uses to understand what that picture is about, because otherwise Google just sees a picture as a whole bunch of pixels. It doesn't know what to make of the picture. It doesn't know that it's a before picture of a living room. It just sees that there's different colors. It doesn't know anything about it. So you need to tell Google what that is, and that's what the alt tag is for. And you can really give a great description of what the project is and what the picture is and what town it is and all these things. So when Google looks at all of the pictures on your website, it can really create a story and know that you are a great home stager in a certain area for this certain type of project. And whatever else you want to include in that alt text. It can be about a few sentences long, but it's very, very valuable, especially when you do this to all of your pictures. So image titles and image alt tags / alt text will greatly help your SEO of your website. Okay, number 6, responsive. It's got to be responsive. This is something that came out a few years ago that Google said basically all websites need to be responsive. What does responsive mean? It means that it needs to, you make your website on a computer screen, on a computer. So, you see it as that big, and when you make it, it looks great. However, half of the people out there are looking at websites on cell phones. So it needs to look great on a smartphone. And also, people are also looking at it on tablets. So your website needs to be responsive to any different type of screen size. Google says that websites need to be responsive. If it's not responsive, it's going to get severely penalized. So make sure that your website is responsive. Number 7, submit your website to the search engines. So Google has a service called Google Search Console, which is free. It used to be called Google Webmasters, where you can actually submit your website directly to Google so that they can read your website's sitemaps. Likewise, you can do it for Bing, and Bing is the network that includes Yahoo, AOL, MSN, and all these other hundreds of other search engines. But the most important one, obviously, is Google. So you can submit your website to Google. Normally, the way it would work is that if you make a website, Google will eventually come to look at your website. It could be weeks or months that they say, okay, there's a new website here, let's take a look at it. Yep, it's a website. And then a couple of weeks or months later, it's going to come and say, okay, well, let's see what kind of structure it has. And it's going to say, okay, these are the different pages that are on there. A couple of weeks or months later, it's going to say, okay, well, let's see what's on those pages. It's going to read through them. And then a couple of months or weeks later, it's going to say, okay, well, let's figure out how this all works, figure out what this website is all about and read through all of it. So my point is that if you don't submit your website to Google, it's going to take 6 to 8 months or so. There's no telling, but it's approximately that long before Google even considers making your website show up on Google. Now, if you submit your website to Google, you really bypass a huge part of that window. You cut out probably 3, 4, 5 months of that, so that your website could theoretically show up within just a couple months on Google if it's done well. If you submit your website to Google. So again, that website is called Google Search Console, and Bing is called Bing Webmasters. So submit your website to both of those services. All right, number 8, the final thing for having good SEO is getting an SSL certificate. That's a Secure Sockets Layer certificate. These can be for free. Very good ones can cost some money. But essentially what this does is it changes that HTTP at the beginning of your website address to HTTPS, which means that it's secure. You'll see that if you look on Google Chrome on the address bar, you'll see that there is green padlock with the word secure. If a website has this, on Safari and Firefox, I think it's just a padlock that shows that a website is secure with an SSL certificate. But what that means is that when anybody submits their information on your website through a contact form or something, it means that information is secure. Basically, without that, without that security, it's easy for somebody to basically steal their information. It's not likely to happen, but it's a security thing when you do have that SSL certificate. So this is important for 2 reasons. One, because it shows that your website is secure. You're probably noticing it more and more often when websites are secure and when they're not, when you go on the internet. But the second important reason that's important is because Google has told us that it's going to be a ranking factor for websites. So, Google doesn't tell their algorithms, much like Coke doesn't give out their recipe, but they have told us that having an SSL certificate is going to be a ranking factor for websites. Well, not necessarily a ranking factor, more that they're going to penalize websites that don't have an SSL certificate. So, Google told us this isn't. it's not rocket science. When they tell you something, do it. So yeah. So I think some of the do-it-yourself website builders automatically give websites an SSL certificate. If you're on WordPress, you have to actively get an SSL certificate for your website, but it's very easy to do these days, especially since it's so common and Google has told us that you need to have an SSL certificate. All right, so that's the 8 reasons. I'll go over them real quick. The number one way to have good SEO on your website is to make it on WordPress. The second thing is the content with blogs or videos or images. The third thing is the content structure with the headings, the H1 tags, H2 tags, things like that. The number 4 thing for contributing to good SEO is backlinks to your website. The number 5 thing for good SEO is for image titles and image alt tags or alt text. The number 6 thing is to make sure your website is responsive, so it shows up well on smartphones and tablets. The number 7 thing is to submit your website to the search engines. And the final thing, number 8, is to get an SSL certificate for your website. So I hope you got some value out of that. Again, I'm going to post these on my website at stagersidekick.com. But you can also re-listen to this and take notes again, because it is very important that if you have a website to have good SEO. So yeah, so please visit my website at stagersidekick.com. Subscribe so that you can subscribe to this so you can catch more episodes as they come out. But until then, I'll catch you on the next episode.